Welcome, my beautiful woman, to another episode of Lingerie and Lattes. I'm so excited to be bringing this information to you, and I really hope that you're implementing some of my suggestions around how to be a better partner to yourself and also your lover, whether it be your boyfriend or your husband. So today I want to touch on another awareness that we need as women because I notice this kind of being a key that derails so much communication between men and women and causes unnecessary tension. The reason I am calling it unnecessary is because if women were simply just more, I don't want to keep saying aware, but just in a non confrontational manner, educated about how men think, we wouldn't have so many of these problems that I see when I see women and men interacting. And a lot of the times, men lose their train of thought, or they start speaking about one thing, and the woman starts to add certain details that he maybe misspoke. It was 32 ounces instead of 33. Something where they always have to interject, and that interjection from women, I see, really flusters men. And there's a very easy explanation for why this happens, which is again why I'm sharing that if women were simply more educated about how women think versus how men think, we wouldn't have all these problems that are so commonplace. Let me take a step back. My name is Olivia Trumaga. I founded Vulcan Ability for Women and Men to have a way to figure out how to create a sustainable, loving relationship that honors both the man and the woman. So let's think this through. Men have a very linear energy about them. They are very straight, erect, hard bodies. They're more linear in general. If you think about a man's overall frame, then it's kind of like this box shape with broader shoulders than women, and so forth. Women are much curvier. So we have breasts, we have hips, we have a waistline, which then draws out the hips. We have wider hips naturally so that we can give birth. And this difference that you can see from the forms of our actual bodies translates to every single way of living. So when we think about communicating with a man, as a woman, we can uphold upwards of 7 to 9 different subjects within one conversation. What do I mean by that? Within a span of 5 minutes of speaking with two women, they can be talking and discussing fully about, let's say, one of the girls' brothers and their whole like life situation with their wives. It could be, oh, excuse me, they could be speaking about maybe one of their work situations and how that's all going in the office dynamics. They could be talking about plans that they're making 3 weeks in advance for a dinner. Then they could also be discussing something within the news that one of them saw and they decided to, share with the other girl. So, I mean, right there, we have about 4 different subjects, right? We have the first one, which was the boyfriend and their home situation. We have the work environment. Then we have dinner plans. And then I think there was another example I shared in there. So what I'm saying is within one span of one conversation, we can have all these different subjects and we stay connected to all of them. We don't lose our train of thought when you think about women talking about all of these different things. Within one sentence, I could say, Thursday sounds great for tacos and margaritas. And also, how is your brother with his sister? Because I know that was kind of they had a rift on, yesterday. That could be one sentence, and a woman will pick out that is all divided and what it attaches to within the conversation. This is so impossible for men. And this, I believe, is kind of what fuels a lot of women when they start to speak negatively about men. You know, they call them stupid, they call them lazy, like all those stereotypes that I think women have really placed onto men. But the stupid aspect, I think, kind of comes from this difference of thinking. So when we don't understand that someone thinks differently than we do, we automatically assume that they are just slow or they're not listening to us or they're not getting it. But if you understand that the other person, men, have a different way of thinking, then your approach to expressing yourself is going to also be different. So that is, it is in alignment with how they think, right? So let's think through this. If a man, his 5 minute conversation between two guys is going to be on one subject, just one subject. If they are talking about a basketball, let me just use a very stereotypical example, a basketball game that happened Tuesday night or whatever. If someone, if one of those guys brings up some sort of plans they want to do next week, both of those guys have now taken a cue. We have taken a turn. This was the direction we were going in with the basketball game. Now we have taken a turn, and now we're on a totally different street. You know, this street over here has nothing to do with the one we were just on. So once the topic shifts for men, their thought process shifts. Their entire awareness shifts over to the next subject. And when we interrupt in a conversation, when we want to help, supposedly, I see this so many times. A woman correcting men when men are like sharing a story or they're sharing something that's been happening, a tidbit, and women are always interjecting to the, oh no, it wasn't 32 ounces, it was 33 actually, or actually, you know, we were on a date going for an anniversary, not our wedding celebration. I just wanted you guys to understand that all of those comments from women, and we really don't do it in a malicious way, so I understand that, but we don't understand the impact it has on men when they are trying to explain um, what's on their mind. We think we're simply helping, we're adding to it, you know, we're tossing more like details onto the picture that they're painting. But for them, it's like paint splatters. It's as if they're Monet and they're painting, you know, the whole water lilies bridge beautiful image, and you've just come in with like your modern paint splatter. That's what how much it totally frazzles them whenever we break into the conversation, or we try to, you know, have them tether their thought and their current conversation with you to a different subject because you think that way. But again, I'm telling you, men are not going to retain this information. So what's another common issue that I have heard numerous times? You know, you never told me that, right? That's always what I'm hearing, usually from the male side in couples. Like, I don't remember you ever telling me this. And a woman will say, I've told you this 1,000 times. Well, in what manner did you share that important piece of information? Was it among four different subjects and then you threw that in there? By the way, you're going to have to pick up my parents from the airport. And within that, you were also discussing the monthly bills that were due, and also the I don't know, your kid's soccer game that's coming up, and so forth. So if we think about the biggest qualm men have is feeling like they are never being acknowledged or spoken to before they've been asked to do something, we have to kind of track ourselves back and see, perhaps we were speaking to them as if we were speaking to a woman and expecting them to pick up all the necessary details within a conversation. And that is simply not how their brains work. And it is not that they are stupid, it is not that they are worse, it's just that we are wired differently, which is pretty much the entire basis of why I share Vulcan ability so passionately, because we're now in a world that keeps wanting to equalize men and women. It keeps wanting to say that we are just the same. And what I'm telling you is we could not be further from each other. We could not be further on the spectrum of how we operate in the world. And the sooner we learn that, and instead of degrading that beautiful state of nature that we are different, then the faster we can really have beautiful, thriving relationships in a monogamous couple between men and women. Thank you so much, my beautiful ladies. Please let me know how this resonated with you in the comments below, and I will speak with you all next week. Please check out on Mondays, I host a meditation and yoni visualization exercises so that we can connect to the womb space and to the heart space within our bodies. It only lasts 10 minutes so that everyone can do this in an easy to obtain manner in their week. Thank you so much, my ladies. Have a beautiful, magical Friday.